Yay, here we go. This is not Heather Campbell. I'm not trying to steal her identity. I would like everyone to meet the one and the only Tiffany Archer. And I'm so excited to have you on the show today because she's going to tell us what happens when not one, but two career paths crumble at the same time, right? That's exactly what she faced during the pandemic when her job as a flight attendant, boom, evaporated like that. And then her real estate business dissolved overnight. She had no safety net, so this lady had to think fast, and what she discovered changed everything. Instead of relying on traditional backup plans, Tiffany learned to bank on herself, leveraging her own knowledge and experience to pivot into entrepreneurship. I love this. Today, she's a mother, wife, entrepreneur, and the author of the Manifest Dreams Affirmation Journal, where she shares tools to help others tap into their intuition and create the life they want. Oh, and she has a passion for crystals, affirmations, and mindset work that's truly transformative. Tiffany, lady, welcome to Curveball. Yes, I'm so excited you're here, all the way from New Jersey. So talk to me a little bit about, I don't even know if you can call it a pivot, because like when you feel like you sort of think like you have two careers, you're probably sort of feeling certain, excited. I know a lot of people before the pandemic were like, oh, this is going to be the year. Everything's coming together. And you probably sort of felt like both your feet were like knocked out right from underneath you. So tell me a little bit what was going on in your life. And then how in the world do you even begin to navigate when you get that kind of like the old 1-2 punch by the universe?
Oh, Lord, Heather. Where do I begin? Lord Jesus, where I begin.
Wait.
It's crazy, and first, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to tell my story. I'll start there. I am so excited to be on here. And just to give you some information, I mean, COVID was a difficult time for everybody. Right. I think it was a mind-opening thing, and it had a lot of challenges financially for people, health-wise. For me, I was in a situation where flight attendant, been doing the job for several years, felt like that was a comfortable career, saw the world, and I made decent money, so I was comfortable, right? But I've always wanted to be a real estate investor. That's always been my passion. Real estate has always been my passion. So I did the flight attendant gig, and it was great because I had the flexibility. I needed to do other things, which was nice.
Right. Because flight attendants work, are you sort of 3 days on, 3 days off? Is that like your like you're sort of like doctors or nurses that way? Like you have?
Absolutely. We have an unconventional work schedule. And as you stay in it long enough, you have the flexibility. My schedule was I was working, I may be working 3 days a week, or off the remaining portion of the week, I may work 2 days a week. It just depends. So I did that job. And in the beginning, when I started that job, which is interesting, I actually got my real estate license while I was a flight attendant.
Oh, okay.
So in my mind, and this was at the very, very beginning, and I'm telling my age because this is like right after September 11th, right? Because I started around that time, right before September 11th happened. So I got my real estate license because I had an investment opportunity that I kind of walked away from that I now regret, but it was a learning lesson. So that shifted me towards wanting to get my license. So I got my license, and in my mind, I'm thinking I can learn how to do real estate. I can still fly, but I could have the real estate thing as a backup, right? A backup career.
Right. So, yes.
So when September 11th happened, I was comfortable. I was like, okay, I'm a flight attendant. If anything happens, I can, have my license and be a realtor, which I was doing on the side. I would fly, and then I would show houses to people when I come home or on my days off.
Oh my gosh. Right.
So, and over time, I ended up making my clients investors because I ended up working with a broker that lists bank-owned properties, because I wanted to shift into a different sector of real estate. So I decided to become an agent for a broker, a licensed broker that lists properties for the bank. So all of my clients were real estate investors. So I was showing properties to them while I was flying. COVID happened. COVID happened.
Right.
And it changed my world. Literally, it changed my world. I was in a situation where I was going to get laid off from, flying. So I had
Sure.
that career kind of like tank for me in a way, because I'm like, okay, now what
Right.
am I going to do? If I get laid off, what am I going to do? And so I was like, you know what? I'll be an agent. I'll focus on my real estate. I want to be an investor anyway. And then part of that too, I was dealing with the process of not even wanting to fly because I didn't want to be on an airplane. I was too afraid. COVID was happening. I didn't want to bring
Right.
home anything to my family. So I had to look at it in a way of maybe this could be a blessing in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
So after maybe 2 months after COVID happened, I'm noticing in my office, we're not getting listings. They're slowing down. Then by the end of the year, there's a moratorium that happens, which means that, banks can't foreclose. They couldn't evict on people. So now
Oh, yes. Yeah.
the flow of those listings are now stalling. Now they're stopping. We're not getting any inventory. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm not flying right now. The real estate thing is
Right.
drying out for me
I'm
right
not
now.
flying and I'm not buying.
Right. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how is it that
Yeah.
my backup plan, I need a backup plan for my backup plan?
Right. Right. Right.
What
Oh my
how
gosh.
did
So
that
then,
happen?
my whole corporate career was working in real estate. So I've supported I worked for these huge national real estate developers,
Yeah.
so luxury apartments. And when the pandemic hit, it obviously, and because those properties have got to cash flow, but like when the evictions, and
Mhm.
it's like where you understand both sides of the business, obviously, right? Like
Mhm.
how people have this financial situation, but then you're just like, oh my God, like they have to make this multi-million dollar mortgage payment
Yeah.
and they need that cash flow. Like it was just such an interesting time
Yes.
and real estate is such an immediate correlator with what's going on in the economy. Like the economy gets shaky, real estate's like right there. Just, you know what, economy, if you're
Mhm.
breaking, I'll break with you. I'll be your
Yep.
support team. So then
Yep.
what did you do like at that point? What inspired you to pivot
So,
and then so it has to involve manifesting, obviously, because I think that's
right.
so act surprised when she tells you that, guys. But tell me a little bit about what your pivot was. Like, what did you have one of those divine moments, or like what was happening? Were you at the kitchen sink and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this? Or was it something that was more subtle?
Well, I was in a situation at the time where I had to make something out of nothing, right? I had to figure it
Mm,
out. I'm a
wait, that just gave me
contributor.
goosebumps. Yeah.
I contribute to the household. I have been contributing to the household. Thank God, my husband, he was good with his career, but I had to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to make a conscious decision to figure out how to make this real estate thing work, because at the same time that this was happening,
Mm,
I was still getting calls from real estate investors still looking for properties. So they were still buying. Like their life, that's
right.
how they make their money. You know what I'm saying? You make your money when
Yes.
you
Yep.
buy. So I had to figure this out. So I'm, like you said, in the house. I can't remember, I was in the kitchen or whatever. And I had talked to my husband and I was just like, oh my God, I need to figure out how to make money. Right. So it's something internally, instinctively, intuitive inside of me said, you know what? Real estate. Right. Focus on
Mm,
finding your clients' properties. Focus on finding your clients' properties. So I got in on the internet because a client had called me saying, I'm looking for this multifamily property, blah, blah, blah. So I get on the internet, and the first thing I do is I said, okay, let me look for sell by owners. Let me target them
mm.
first. So I got on to Craigslist, believe it or not, and I started calling.
Oh, wait. That
Listen,
is roll the dice, lady. Yes.
listen,
That's
listen.
amazing.
Yes,
You're
I
like
was
desperate times, desperate times.
hello.
Yeah.
Listen, I had to think outside of the box. Okay, I had to figure it
Right. Right.
So I'm on Craigslist, Lord Jesus, I'm on Craigslist trying to find somebody who is willing to sell their property so I can connect them with my investor.
Right.
Okay.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it.
So I'm going through Craigslist, finding people, investors, or I guess sellers, right? That are posting that they want to sell their property. I look through, I canvassed through a few. Some of them left their contact information. I found one guy that had left his contact information that wasn't the stupid link that you click to try to get to somebody. It was actually his phone number, right? So I called that number. I called that number and I asked him, I asked him about the property. It was a multifamily property that he wanted to sell. And I asked him about the property and if he was interested in selling it. I told him that I had a client, an investor that was looking to buy. And he was like, well, that's great. And he said, well, we're talking. And as I'm talking to him, I'm realizing that he is the seller, but he's not the original owner of the property. Okay. If that makes sense. Meaning he told me that he was a wholesaler. At the time, I didn't know what that meant. I'm like, wholesaler, what does that mean? You buy stuff in bulk? Like, what is that? Right. So he said, well, listen, I'm a wholesaler. I have a property under contract and I need to sell that property in 30 days or I'm going to lose the deal. Right. And I said, okay, well, I have an investor that's interested. Can we set it up to where he can see the property in person? Because I was like, I'm gonna send him the information, the pictures, but I know my client's actually going to want to see it. And he said, fine, that's great.
Yeah,
he told me, he said, what's your fee? And I said, I don't know, like $5,000. He was like, okay, we'll just put that on top. Put that on top of the purchase price. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I get in contact with my investor client and I say, hey, listen, I found you this multifamily house in the area that you want to be in. I have a guy that has it under contract. He's a wholesaler. He wants to sell it. I said, but I want to let you know that I attached my fee on top of the purchase price. So you're going to have to pay me, right, for the service. And he said, fine. Send me the information. So I emailed him the information of the property. He saw it. He ran his numbers. He was like, listen, I don't even have to see the inside. I want it. And I'll offer full price. Yeah. So I ended up contacting the wholesaler. He was like, all right, I'm going to send you over the assignment contract. All I need you to do is put down your company name or your name and put the amount. Like, I need you to give me the information so I can put the amount that you're going to be paid. And send it over to your buyer. And once he signs it and sends me the security deposit, then we're under contract and we're good to go. And you'll get paid by the title company at closing. We closed in 21 days. I made my first $7,000 from that deal. I didn't have to show a property.
Amazing. God, on Craigslist.
I have to walk in the property.
Were you nervous at all? Like at any time during this guy was going to scam you at all or no?
I was nervous initially, but then I said, Tiffany, you have to protect yourself because people lie. So what I did was I made sure that he put my company name in the assignment contract. So when that information went to title, when it went to the attorneys, they already knew that I was to be paid a fee for that. Then I also had him sign a joint venture agreement, contractual agreement that said that he was going to pay me X, Y, and Z dollars for marketing and securing a property for him. And I would get paid at closing.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
And now this is what you do full time is you're on the wholesale side of business?
I do this business and I'm growing this business. I've been doing it for the past 4 years. So basically in the beginning, it was more kind of like a side hustle, right? So it was nice to be able to create supplemental income, which was nice. And then I learned as I was doing the business, I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting so much education Like I wanted to become an investor,
Right.
and I'm embedded in doing this, rooted and booted in doing this now. So I'm
Right.
learning as
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
go, which is awesome. So I was getting a wealth of education and a wealth of knowledge being on the investor side, right?
Right.
And it allowed me to actually be able to make supplemental income at closing, which was nice. So what I then did was
Right.
is I took that income that I was making and I started purchasing my own investment properties.
Oh,
So what I did
amazing.
was is I bought my first investment property, tax lien property. I don't know if you're familiar with tax lien
Mm-hmm.
properties.
Yep.
Those properties are properties that go into auction if the property owner doesn't pay their property taxes, right?
Well, yes. Like I had a tax lien, like I accidentally underpaid my income tax by $320. And then
Mm.
I get a registered letter. And this is years ago, like at the very beginning of my business. And I have pneumonia, like walking pneumonia. So I am so sick. And I get this registered letter from the IRS. And I'm like,
Oh,
what is going on? Yeah. So
yeah.
if I did not connect, someone could have bought my house for
Yeah,
$320.
yeah. Now the good
Yeah.
thing is that they will send you an insurmountable amount of notices letting you know
Right.
that you need to
Okay.
pay. And then there's also a redemption period that happens. So even
Okay. Good.
after the house
So,
gets
yeah.
placed in auction, the original homeowner has an opportunity to pay the taxes back that's owed. But if you
Interesting.
don't
Oh, interesting.
claim that property after the redemption period, you get the new
Right.
owner gets to foreclose and get the deed to that house, right? So
Right.
I was able to
Interesting.
buy my
Right.
first tax lien property for $2,500.
What? What kind of property was it?
A house, a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house. Yeah.
Amazing.
Now, granted, I'm
And
not
so then
gonna
do you
lie.
rent that out
House
now?
needed no, 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 no. That house needed a lot of work. I'm actually going to tear it
Mm-hmm.
down and rebuild. I'm thinking about redoing that
Mm,
now. That's the strategy that we're going with. But the point is that people think that you need a lot of money to become an investor. You need a lot of money to start doing real estate investing, and you simply do not. You simply do not. I
no.
talked
And
to
that's how
my
people
friend.
amass like a lot of net wealth is
Yeah,
through real estate investment
yeah.
too. Because yeah, like I have lots of my corporate career was in real estate. So I love it too. There's something about it. Like people
Mm-hmm,
always, well, I used to say people always need a place to live, work, and shop. And now I'm like,
mm-hmm.
people always need a place to live because
Right,
working
right,
and
right.
shopping now are so
Always.
different, but still, yeah, but it's still, there's something so tangible about it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
love the residential side too. That's my favorite side.
yeah.
Although I used to do investor communications for an industrial warehousing company called Prologis that ironically my son works for now. And I
Awesome.
did that in the mid 90s. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, industrial warehousing is such an interesting it's such an interesting real estate category. And I was like,
Yeah.
God, I never thought when I was like an advertising major that I'd be like, industrial warehousing, fascinating. But it is because it's just
Right,
all logistics. Like it's just absolutely, and
right.
my son tells me like just the innovate. I love real estate. So I love that you're in that. So talk to me about how you go from real estate investing to like crystals and manifesting.
So I was, through that process of me trying to get this business, the side hustle business, you go through a lot of ebbs and flows, right? Feast or
Yeah.
famine, ebbs and flows. And I was really trying to figure out, how to manifest the life that I want, right? I felt like
Right.
I
You
was
and
faced,
me both,
right,
sister. I mean,
right.
God,
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah.
You're faced with a major crisis and you have some wins, but then you realize even after you have those wins that you're still not fulfilled. You're still not completely happy about where you
Right.
are, right, in that moment. So I was going through a process where I was like, you know what, I have to reevaluate everything. Like I have to really, really, really think about how I want to live, where I want to live, how much money I want to make, the kind of life, the dream life that I want to have. I have to figure this out. And
Right.
I had started doing things with law, I read the law of attraction, saw the video.
Sure.
I started
Yes.
implementing some of those strategies after further reading, manifesting techniques and stuff like that, strategies. And I
Sure.
noticed that I was
Yes. A little
able.
old Abraham Hicks.
I love
I
Abraham
love
Hicks.
her
I
slash
love
them.
her.
Yes.
I love her. So
I
I
do
was.
too. Like
I,
she's amazing.
she's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. So I started doing some of those things, and I was manifesting things. Right. I was building that momentum, and I'm like, wow, this is cool, and it made me feel so powerful. I felt so empowered because I had that light bulb moment where I just realized it clicked for me that I'm not the victim of my circumstances. I create everything that I want in my life. So I started going back and remembering all the things that happened along the way to me, whether it was good or bad, and realized
Right.
I was manifesting all of that the whole time and didn't even know it. Right.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
so I started to link dots together, and then I started really reading more, and I started getting on YouTube and following people and listening more about it. One of the people, Abraham Hicks. Then I started listening to shows about neuroscience and things like that, and energy and
Mm-hmm.
frequency. And I just
Yes.
started to learn that this is not a woo woo thing. This is not a woo woo thing. This is something that
No,
can be
it's
measured.
science.
It's science. Exactly. It can
Yes.
be
Yep.
measured. So I just started, as I started doing that, I started changing some things in my own personal life. I started developing new habits. I started to think differently about things. I wasn't as
Mm.
negative as I was before. I had to get away from watching television and the news. I had to separate myself from everything that was happening, so I could just
Yes.
really horn in and really, I guess in a way, I was creating my own bubble, if that makes sense, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
yeah, I had, and so what I did was, I had to have the mindset shift. So, in order to change
Mm-hmm.
my mindset shift, I had to think differently. I used my crystals. I would go in, and whenever I felt inspired to maybe go to a crystal store, I would go in, and I've learned now that you don't choose crystals; they choose you,
Yes, they
right?
choose you.
They
Yes.
choose you.
Yes.
So I even bring my daughter with me now, but I went into the store, I picked up some crystals, picked up some jewelry, things like this ring. And I would use it to meditate. But I didn't do it in a way of the conventional way of meditating where you cross your legs and you're like, that sort of thing. For me,
Right.
meditation can
Yes.
come in many different ways. Meditation for me
Yep.
was being in tune internally with myself through music. So what I would do is I would create
Mm.
a playlist. So however, and I did
Yes.
this during the time when I wasn't feeling like I wasn't in the right energy frequency, because I needed that playlist to
Hmm.
take me from being from a low frequency to a high frequency. So I
Right.
created.
And music is the way to do that. I mean, just that I would love to hear one of your playlists. I'm
Yeah,
going to
I'll
insist that you send me
share.
one of
I, I'll
them.
definitely
Yes.
I'll definitely
Okay. I would
share.
love that.
I'll share with you.
Okay.
And so my playlist took me from being where I was at, where I was feeling low and operating at a
Hmm.
low frequency. And it transitioned me to feeling better at a higher frequency. And I
Yes.
felt the difference because I would feel the shift internally, right? Because now
Yes.
I'm all of a sudden I'm happy. I'm singing, you know what I'm saying? So
Right. You're
I learned
dancing in your kitchen,
I'm
maybe. Yeah.
dancing, and I now feel inspired. Now I may have a thought to answer a problem that was an issue for
Right.
me before that I couldn't figure out. Now I can figure out what that situation is, the thought on that, and how I can be the solution to that problem. So I was like, okay, this
Right.
must be in a way what people talk about when they talk about meditation, clearing your mind and all of that. It just isn't seen in the traditional way. And then what I would do
Right.
is, aside from listening to a playlist, what I would do is I would write journal, right? Journal. And I use my
Yes.
crystals.
That is so powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I use my crystals when I'm journaling. So I guess my step is, and I'll just tell you real quick my step, right? My step. So if I'm
Okay.
operating from
Yeah.
a place where I'm feeling low, right? Like something may have happened, a
Mm-hmm.
deal may have fell apart that I thought I was closing on, something happened, whatever. What I'll do in the beginning, first thing what I'll do is I start my day. You don't watch the news, you don't do anything. This is your time,
No.
right? So what I'll do is I'll do my playlist because I'm like, okay, I'm
Mm.
feeling low today. I need music. So I'll do my playlist.
Yes.
After I listen to my playlist, then I'll do some exercises because exercising is
Mm-hmm.
another way to raise your frequency as well. I get my best
Yes.
thoughts and my
Movement.
best
Yes.
ideas after I've done a workout, right? And
Yes.
then,
Same. Yeah.
right? And then after I do that, I pull out my journal and I start journaling because now I'm in a place of being able to receive. I'm in a place of happiness. I'm
Mm-hmm.
in a place of gratitude, right? So I'm writing down everything that I've ever desired or dreamed, whatever I want to have happen in my life, right? And then what I'll
Right.
do is I'll start writing out a story, my story of me receiving the things that
Mm.
I want as if it's already happened. And when I'm
Yes.
in that highest state of frequency, it works
Right.
because you're open to receiving, right? So
Yes.
that helps me
It's
to
like preheating
manifest.
your oven.
Yeah.
It's like preheating your oven. It's like one of the things I really like that you said is like you have real intention. Like you're really aware of when you're feeling low. And I just, because sometimes I feel like there's this assumption that somehow, like if you're in a low state of, if you're just feeling low or you're just feeling like low energy, or you said like low vibration, that somehow just something is going to happen that's going to knock you out of that.
Yeah.
And it's something, and so you're sort of waiting for that external thing when really what I've learned is that we have so much control over that. And I know it, and I know what you're saying too. Like when you feel that feeling of, oh, this is locking in, like
Hmm.
I almost feel it like at the base of my, like I feel it probably in my amygdala in my brain
Oh, wow.
is where I feel it, where I can feel myself starting to soothe myself.
Hmm.
And, but it's an intentional thing. Like it's, so when I thought I might have it deadly last summer, I thought I might have ALS, like I was being tested for that. And there's no way in the world you're going to get a little bit ahead of yourself, right? So like my biggest goals were no speculation. Nobody could speculate good or bad around me. I had
Right.
to stick with the facts and I didn't want to get ahead of myself. But if you think you might have a deadly diagnosis, you're
Mm.
going to be thinking about things like, and one
Absolutely.
of the things I learned is to stop resisting some of the, because I would feel like, oh no, like thinking of Abraham Hicks, like, oh no, I'm having this huge like feeling of sadness. I'm going to manifest like ALS in my
Right,
life. And so
right,
then I would
right,
try to like,
right.
and then I would try to be like, no, like I can't be thinking about that. But then I was just like, no, that is, I'm feeling something like that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And I just always think about God talking about Abraham Hicks. I was just talking about this with someone yesterday, which is there's this analogy that they talk about, which is like you're in a boat and you hit the paddle down in the water. And when you hit the paddle down, it just starts creating red coming from it.
Mm.
And you're like, no, I wanted blue. So you just keep on hitting the water more and more. And all it does is just keep on creating more red. It does, you
Yes.
don't get what you want. And
Yes.
I was like, I'm going to allow this emotion. And so the interesting thing is when you allow yourself to feel and you don't resist it. And this also came with a lot of intention too, where I was like, I'm going to allow myself to feel it. I'm going to name it, validate it, and then ask myself, do I have any facts to support this? And when it came to my health, 100% of the time I didn't. And that was like the turning point. And then I was like, hold on a second. If this works, like for this, it has to work. It's going to work for anything. So like
Anything.
my daughter is just started a new job and they have this 90-day like check-in to make sure you're doing like sort of probation. So
Okay.
she's so talented, but she was like super anxious about this meeting and thinking, oh my God, what if I get fired? And I'm just
Exactly.
like, okay, let's run through this. What are you feeling?
Hmm.
And I said, describe it to me. And I'm like, that is absolutely something that's a legitimate feeling. Do you have any facts to support this? And she's no. And I'm like, okay. So then we just know it's speculation. That's a story. And I can feel her like being very upset and then like
Mm-hmm.
backing down. But that, of course, it takes intention and it
Yes.
takes like her call. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't just, that's, I think, my big takeaway is that you met the uncertainty like you met it more than halfway. Like
Right.
you were like, hey, I see you and I'm not going to, and I have a level of awareness with my body and my mind and my spirit. Like I know when I'm high vibing and I know when I'm low.
Right.
And so that is just so interesting to me.
And
So
And you know when you
keep
feel
on going.
anxiety too within, like I don't know how, like if you
Yes.
have a lot of women that watch the show, there's this whole thing, cancer, cancer, cancer. So it's always been like in the back of my mind, I was going crazy because the annual breast exam, right? It's like,
Right.
oh, I
Yes.
don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. Because you
Yeah.
don't want to know if something bad is going to happen. So I always get this anxiety right before I have to have my screening. And I'm going through the
Yes.
series and the thoughts in my mind about, oh my God, what if they find breast cancer? Oh my God, is cancer going to happen?
Right.
Am I going to get cancer? Blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Jesus, Tiff, you're going to manifest getting cancer if you keep on
Right.
focusing
Right.
on getting cancer. So for me, it's about, well, you know what? I'm going to shift that thought a little bit. All right. So instead of thinking
Right.
about me going to this breast exam, having that done, and finding out that I have a nodule, whatever, and it's cancerous.
Right.
Why not focus on what I can do every day to be the healthiest, to make my body the healthiest that it can be,
Right.
right? So when I started to
Yes.
focus on, okay, I'm exercising, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to drink water. I put my attention, my focus on those things. And as I did
Right.
that, I noticed that fear, that anxiety subsided. It was like a click.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that test that Japanese doctor did where he takes water
Mm-hmm.
and he puts positive affirmations around,
Yes.
and it's from the same body of water?
Yes.
And he has positive affirmations around one control group and negative
Yes.
around the other control group.
Yes. Yes.
And the
yes.
negative ones grow into almost like angular, like almost like salt, like these asymmetrical, really sharp crystals. But the
Mm-hmm.
ones with positive affirmations are these like beautiful, symmetrical, like iridescent. They almost look like snowflakes.
Yes, I've seen that.
And I remember seeing this movie, like What the Bleep Do We Know, that's where I first heard about it. And I was
Right.
just like, and they said, oh, isn't it interesting? Because your body then is 80, how much is your body? Like 85% water. And it's, so those thoughts really do. I mean, if it affects water crystals in a vial, it's going to affect our water crystals in our body
We're
for sure.
all energy and everything is related.
Yes.
And I think once you realize that, it's empowering. And for me, with manifesting and doing some of the things that I do, it's empowering for me. And it's funny because when you actually set the right intention, like you said, right?
Mhm.
And then things progress the way they're supposed to progress. And then the blessings
Yes.
come out of that. You're like, oh my God, I'm Superwoman. I got a superpower. I can do
Right.
this, right? I can do this, right? So
Yes.
that was some of the things that I was dealing with right after COVID. And then as I was building and grow the business, changing and shifting my mindset, I started incorporating affirmations. You know what? It's funny because I would always look up affirmations and people talk to Oprah. Everybody talks about, you need to do affirmations.
Right.
Right. And so for me, I was just like, okay, I'll try it, but it never worked. It never, ever, like I would say it and it didn't work because I didn't believe what I was saying.
To believe it.
Right.
Right.
Yes. So I went through that bat of trying to figure out how I can overcome this thing with affirmations and how it could work for me. So what I ended up doing is I created the journal, the manifesting affirmation journal. And what I realized, the key to making affirmations work is your belief system. Because if you are working and you're not making any money and you're hungry and you can't make your bills, or you can't do certain things in order to survive, the last affirmation you should be saying is, I am a millionaire, right? it's not going to
Right.
work
Right.
because it doesn't
Exactly.
resonate with
Yes.
you. It doesn't work. So what
Right.
I found is if you use high, powerful vibration words that resonate with
Mm.
you intuitively, that's when you can get affirmation work to work. So what I did is I created this journal, and in the journal you have an affirmation box, right? And the affirmation box
Right.
is full of like high vibrational words. And it's like a seek and find. You know, as a kid, when you have to do a seek and
Oh,
find to look for a
yeah.
word, right? So
Yes.
within the box, the first part of the journal asks you how you feeling, because that's, you need to be in tune with
Right.
how you're
Yeah.
feeling in that moment, right? Then it gives you an
Yes.
opportunity to look in the box, and you'll see, just for a second, you glance at it, what word sticks out to
Right.
you in that moment. That's the word that
Oh,
resonates with
what's it?
you, right? That's the
Yeah.
word that
So what's an
resonates with you for
example of a
that.
what's an example of a high vibration word?
Radiate. Um,
Oh, I love that
you
one.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It could be anything. Like I have the book right
Sure.
here. Like it could
Yeah.
be anything. I have effortless. I have radiate.
Mm.
I have, you know, wisdom. It's different things um,
Right.
that you can use. Different words that everything always works out for me. It's different words that you can use
Yes.
to
Right.
make you
Yeah.
feel comfortable and make it feel
Right.
believable, because that's what state you're in that moment. So you take the affirmation
Right.
box with the high vibration word that's embedded in the seek and find. Whatever word radiates with you when you look at it for that 3 minutes is the word that you're supposed to resonate with for that day. You then in turn take
Oh,
that word
amazing.
and you create an affirmation sentence using that word. Got me?
So you create your own
You create your
affirmation.
own affirmations. And it started to work for me, because when I would say it, I felt it. It resonated because that's
Right.
how I felt in that moment, right? So you take
Yes.
that affirmation sentence that you've created, and then you just write it down on a list. You accumulate them, right? And then
Right.
at the end, towards the end, when you're finished with the journal, you should be able to create your own affirmation meditation. That's the goal. So you
Incredible.
use those
I love
sentences.
that. Well, I love it that you made it so easy for people, because I know that there's a little bit of that synchronicity that happens, right? Like when you look at, because I see those on social media and it's what are the first three words you see? And it's just like, I usually always find the swear words if there are any in there. That's always what I'm like. But like, I really like how easy you made that. And something I've learned too with affirmations, because the I statement can sometimes be hard for people to accept, right? Like how you said, and you sort of put up, they don't believe it then. That like when we're having a conversation with ourselves, there's like our brain has the I and thou. Otherwise, it would get confusing. So it's, I'll be like, oh, I need to go to the grocery store. And then the voice in my head will say, remember, you got to get, and it calls me you, right? So I'm having this conversation
Yeah,
with
yeah,
myself, but
yeah.
there's this distinction. And sometimes using you in place of I sometimes helps
Helps.
too. I
Yeah.
find it, people are
Mhm.
tricky with it. I don't want to, I'm not an affirmation expert, but I do find that
Listen, I'm
the
not
people sometimes
either.
get tricky, or it's tricky for them.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And
So
for me, I'm
I
not either. I just found a method that worked for me, you know, in
completely,
essence.
well, and I love it because it's like one of the things that I just, I'm a branding and marketing person. So you think about how can I create reliable impact with as many people as I possibly can. And when you make something, there's a gamification aspect, there's an element of surprise, and surprise always ends up in delight.
Mm.
And you're really helping people focus in a way that's not, sometimes like, it can get so heavy. And I always feel like when things start to get heavy, I remember like my one sister, this is like a few years ago, but she called me and she's, well, it happened. And I'm like, what? And she's, I'm an atheist now. And I'm like, oh, you are? And she's, yes. And she's, you have no idea how hard it is. It just absolutely breaks my heart. And I said, well, then don't be an atheist.
Yeah.
If like, then choose to believe. And she's, it's not that easy. And I'm like, It is
It
that
is that
easy.
easy.
I said, but it was just this funny thing because she just got into this heavy place with spirituality
Yeah.
where she didn't feel supported by spirit or God or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
source. But that was the separation. I just always think we never leave God. God never leaves us. We leave. Like we separate,
Right.
then we come back. We're just like, hey God. And he's like, I know, I've been keeping my eye on you this whole time.
I've been here
It
the
is so
whole time.
interesting. So yeah, the whole time. Like I used to be so curious when people had this connection to, I call it God, is what it feels like to me. And I used to work out at this studio, this Pure Barre studio. And the woman who runs it is this amazing, she was like a professional cheerleader. I mean, she's just this amazing athlete. And her studio was number one in the country. And I was like, oh my God, I
Mhm.
am so proud of you that your studio is number one in the country. And she said, oh my gosh, thank you. But it's not a me thing, it's a God thing.
Mm.
And I remember just thinking, I'm so curious about that. What does it feel like to
What
really
does
be
that feel
supported
like?
by God?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then it's really making that connection because I started my own business because I was getting fired from my job and the company that fired me hired me as a full-time consultant. It was like this funny thing. But the day before I got fired was my very first therapy appointment ever.
Oh, wow.
And so I came in so hot because because my boss had to travel from Florida to come to Denver to fire me. And so I came in so hot. And I remember my therapist saying, do you pray? And I'm like, I don't even know how to pray. And now like I'm in trouble. Like now I'm going to
Yeah,
pray. And
right,
he's
right, right.
actually, that's a great time to start. And I was like, I guess I just felt so guilty, but I just remember praying to God. And I'm just like sitting at the edge of my bathtub. I'm like, I don't even know if because I was like, how do I do it? Do I do it on my knees? Do I do this? Do I read something? What do I do? He's just sit down and have a conversation with God. And I'm like, okay. But I was like, I don't know how to do it. And then that's led me into like some just, spiritual learning. I just remember with that feeling where once I just felt like really supported, like I prayed, I meditated,
Yeah,
I felt guided.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is what it feels like. And it's so lovely to feel
Amazing.
that.
It's
And even when I thought I might have ALS, like I was never mad. Surprisingly, I was never mad. I never had like a shake my, like, why me moment. And I was never scared. I literally was like, all right. And I just remember like sitting in meditation and just being like, okay, God, like, if this is my life, like, all right, I guess we'll buckle up together. But I just really felt that support from the universe, source, whatever you want to call it. I just think
absolutely. It's amazing.
but it's,
It's amazing because it's amazing because of having the connection, right? And when the
yes,
blessings happen, you have confirmations, which is nice. And I think that you have to have a relationship with higher source, whatever you want to call it. Right? There
yes,
has to be a connection. Even in business, you need it because that's what's going to keep you going. That's going to help you build that
yes,
foundation. I can't explain to you how many
truth.
times I felt like quitting, right? Throughout this whole process, I felt like
Yes,
quitting. And it was that connection and checking in with myself and talking to God, what God for guidance, for support, being able to intuitively look inside and manifest certain things out of
yes.
me where I knew that was something that came from God. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, like God will keep on nudging you. That's the one thing. Like if you are really, because I know the same thing too. Like I'm really passionate about helping female entrepreneurs, but it's challenging. Like
Absolutely.
it's a different way of marketing. I run an agency. Like I could do work, but this is what I'm passionate about. But I remember just 4 years ago, just being like, well, I could just focus on my agency work and that's fine. I really like it. But like I love this other work.
Yeah.
And I just kept on feeling that. I call it the nudge. And it was like, it's like this, you're just like, I always wanted to live my life with no regret.
Hmm.
And I was like, you are going to regret this if you don't do it. But it's like this nudge that I know entrepreneurs feel because it
Yes.
does not stop
It
nudging.
keeps nudging you.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then you do it. Yes.
And yeah,
And then you
it's
do
not,
it. Then it's not as scary.
no.
Yeah.
Well, and then you realize when you get to the other side that everything was supposed to happen the way that it happened, right?
Yes.
Like I feel like I
Yes.
live a life
Yeah.
now where I feel like there are no such things as mistakes. A lot of things I didn't do, I didn't act on because I was afraid. I was
Mm,
afraid of making that mistake, right? So it prohibited me from making
right.
certain decisions that could have propelled me forward. But then when I did the introspective stuff and I started doing manifesting and crystals and intuitive stuff, I realized that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be in life. And everything
Yes.
happens exactly the way that it's supposed to happen. And no matter
Yes.
how long it takes you to get there, whether you go left when you should have went right or right when you should have went left, you always end up exactly where you're supposed to be. And when I realized
Right.
that, it was like a
Yeah.
moment that clicked for me where I felt like there are no mistakes. So if I make that decision, it's not a mistake. It's a learning lesson, right? It's a learning
Yes.
lesson that comes
Right.
out of that, but it's not a mistake. So that helps fuel
Right.
me to be able to make certain decisions in life because I know now that there's no such thing as mistakes. There's just life lessons,
Right.
right? So once I was
God,
able
that
to
is so
eliminate that, it was sky's the limit,
right.
right? Just understand,
I
and
was
it's a
chatting with
small
someone
thing.
yesterday. Yeah. I was chatting with someone yesterday about, I said, do you ever wonder like what would have happened if you did this other than this? And she's like, no, not really, because I just really know whatever my path is, I'm gonna be on the path. Whether I go right or left,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna somehow still end up here.
Yep.
It's gonna be just a different journey to the same place. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
that is so cool. And I know sometimes it feels scary, but everything that I've done, like any practice, in and of itself, it's not that difficult. But I think that sometimes I don't know what it's sort of, I call that voice in our head, the sideliner who's, oh, it's really hard to journal, or I don't have time to journal, or meditation or music or making a playlist. So, what is one thing that somebody could do today that is just such a no brainer when it comes to just moving and creating momentum in that direction to become more of a
That they could
big, like a
move.
manifester, like sort of, what's the one thing?
You need to change your belief systems. That is the number
Mm,
one key thing to being able to manifest whatever you want in life. You need to change that belief system, right? I believe
right.
the best way to do that is you're going to have to reprogram and change your mind. It's not going to happen overnight, right?
Right.
However, if you keep telling yourself the same thing over and over and over and over again, eventually you will start to believe it, right?
Yes.
So for me,
Yes.
I would tell someone the first thing you're going to have to do is change your belief system. So what you can do is you can tackle that that limiting belief by writing that limiting belief down for whatever you want. Write it down.
Mm-hmm.
Then after you write that limiting belief down, then you cross it out and then you write the counter to that limiting belief, right?
Yes.
And
That is a surprisingly easy exercise because I work with entrepreneurs all the time, and there is like real friction when women are coming out with businesses because we really are coming up against a millennia of societal narrative saying women don't ask, they don't do this, right? So it's a big deal. And so sometimes it's easier for people to lean into what they don't want. So sometimes what I'll do
yeah.
is I'll say, okay, take a piece of paper, put it in half. On this side, write down everything you don't want. Then on this
Mhm.
side, write down the exact opposite of that. Then take this side, tear it away, throw it away in the trash.
Yeah.
Because now
Yeah.
you have because sometimes, well, Abraham Hicks, when you know what you don't want, you know what you want.
Yeah.
That's it definitely illuminates that.
It does. And it all the foundation, it all comes back to your belief systems. It really does. Like and that's when I really saw the shift. Right. When I mean, I was like, I
Right.
was saying this and I was doing this, but nothing is happening. And I'm not understanding why it's not happening. And then I had to get down to the core root of it. It was just that I'm saying it, but I don't believe it. right?
Right.
So, but I think the
Yes.
shift happens once you start to change the way you think about things, right? You don't always
Mm,
revert back to the negative aspects of something, right? You try to and
right. Right.
you said it yourself. One of the best ways that I start my day is by setting intention, right? So my intention is
Yes.
I'm going to have a great day today. I'm going to have a great day
Yep.
today. I am truly blessed and highly favored. I am the luckiest person in the
Yep.
world. All good things happen to me for my greater good. These are the things that I say to myself,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I start my day. I'm already set it, right, for how my day is going to be.
Yes.
And you learn how to do these things by practice, because if you start doing it and it doesn't happen for you immediately, don't get discouraged. It
Right.
takes time. This is something that I've been working on for a few years now, right? It takes
Yes.
time. So you got to give yourself grace. Give yourself grace
Yes.
to allow
Yeah, like
it.
we give ourselves so much more grace if we're learning something hard, like how to knit a sweater or like making hollandaise sauce or something like,
Yeah.
or if we're teaching a child, like I think like when a baby's learning how to walk and they fall down or a baby's really messy, like babies are messy eaters. We're not like, oh my God, look at you. You're such a slob. We're just like,
Right.
oh, no, that's just how babies are.
Right.
And it's just so interesting that something somehow shifts where we become, judgment,
Yes.
just blah, 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 all that just flavor of the day kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I have absolutely, you are, God, talk about radiate. You radiate awesomeness,
Oh, you're so
just
sweet.
joy, ambition, smarts, really sticking with it. I love the faith that you had in yourself too. I love to learn and I'm learning a lot and I'm enjoying this and I'm following this. And I love that you're in real estate and helping people invest and build legacy, financial legacy through real estate. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
So if people want to work with you or they want to find out more about the Manifest Your Dreams journal, how do they, where,
So you
what?
can go to my website, right, which is realestaterebel.org. And if you go to
Okay.
that site, it has some of the products that are there. The book is there. So you can order it through the site, or you can actually go on to
Mm-hmm.
Amazon because it's self-published and it is on the Amazon site. And I can,
But don't you make more money? Do you make more money if people buy from you directly though?
yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's okay. I don't care how you find me,
Okay.
just as long
You're
as you
like, I'm
find
not
me.
planning on, yeah.
I know
Okay.
people are
Yes.
very familiar with Amazon. So it doesn't matter. My thing is,
Yes.
as long as you find me, it does not matter. And, you can find me. It was one of those things. This year is 2025 is a year of expansion and growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just turned 50 in October 2024.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I turned 50 then. And I said right towards leading up to that there was things that I was going to do. I was going to do everything that I ever thought
Mm-hmm.
about doing right before I turned 50. One of that was creating courses for, showing people how to do what I do, creating my own website, uh, self-publishing my own journal, things like that. So I did all of that and I achieved all of that before I turned 50. So I'm proud of saying that I
Amazing.
did that, right? And I want to keep that momentum going. But my thing is I know now what my true purpose is. Because for
Mm-hmm.
years, I was trying to figure out what's my true purpose. And I feel at this point that my purpose is to motivate and inspire other women to not give up on their dreams in any way that
Yes.
may be. For me, it's real estate. I use that as my vehicle, but that is
Right.
that is the lingering story. That is the legacy that I want to lead. Do not give up on your dreams. You can do anything that you
Yes.
want to do in life as long as you believe that you can do it. And that's the key. You
Yes.
have to
Yes.
believe. You have to believe. And if you
Oh
want
my
to get
God.
my
I wish I
journal,
could take this thing off because I would just, yeah, get the journal.
get my
Yes.
journal and I can show you how through affirmations.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I just wish I could take this microphone off because I would just like mic drop it right this second. That was so good. Tiffany Archer, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
realestaterebel.org is her website. Thank you so much. This has been a blast.
Thank you. It's been a blast for me. I'm truly, truly honored. And thank you so much, Heather. I love the fact that you're doing this show. I am so happy for you. So
Thank
this
you.
is great. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.